who are 40 and happy with their life, what is your advice to people in their 20s? Story 1. I am 40 years old and I have 3 pieces of advice for anyone in their 20s. 1. Accept that perfection doesn't exist. Your relationships will have problems, your car will break down, someone else will anyways have a better phone, a newer car, or a bigger house than you. No matter where on the social ladder you stand, constantly chasing perfection will keep you permanently stressed. That doesn't mean you should not try to better your life. Just know that if you expect perfection, you will never be satisfied. 2. Pay attention to your diet and health. I have been working out at least 4 times per week since my mid-20s. I am fitter, healthier, and look younger than almost everyone else my age 3. Don't stop doing the things you love. Even though I have a wife, kids, job, etc., I still make time to play video games, draw, write stories, read comics, play basketball, listen to music, etc. There is no reason to become a miserable old. Edit. Wow. This has blown up way more than I expected. Thanks for the awards, guys. It's nice to know my advice can be useful to others. Edit 2. So, quite a few people have asked how I find time to fit in all these hobbies. As I said, I have to make the time. Apart from working out, which I do at 6 a.m., before everyone else wakes up, I'm not doing these things every day. I only game on the weekend if I get the chance. I read ebooks on my phone. When I'm killing time in the day, I may buy a comic 2-3 times a year, and I can usually find a few hours in the week to draw. I still make time to chill out with my wife in the evenings and do things with kids. I just fit my hobbies in between them. I also don't watch much TV or go out, but that's just me. Story 2. I'm 40th. This is my input. 1. Everyone is focused on themselves to care too much about their opinion of you. So what they think. 2. Social media is only an illusion. 3. Zero debt is an amazing feeling. Think twice before dropping that down payment on that fully loaded 2020 Dream Mobile that offers nothing but looks and depreciates value quickly. 4. Falling out of love is perhaps more powerful than falling in love. 5. Use up all of your vacation time, sick time at work. 6. Don't lose sight of the hobbies you enjoyed as a child. They will help you live as you grow older. 7. Family is not necessarily blood, but instead, who you would bleed for. 8. There are just as much benefits to being a night owl as there are to being an early. 9. Forgive yourself first before forgiving others. 10. Do not be a doormat in submission, but hold the door open in kindness. Story 3. I was a raging alcoholic in my 20s and thought I would never recover from it. I never found a real job using my first degree or my master's. Part of it was because I was always drunk. Part of it was the job market at the time. I went back to school in my 30s and found something I like a whole lot more. Now, I'm married, nearly 10 years sober, and have a great job. My point is, if you end up on the wrong path or don't like where you are, there's always time to turn around and change it. Too many people just assume they're stuck where they are and stuck with the issues they have. Story 4. It's not a race. Stop comparing yourself to others. Just because they did things sooner than you doesn't mean they're happier or better. Try to start good habits. It is a little rough at first, but in a few years it will be second nature. Do this with things like cooking, cleaning, saving money, and self-care. It is okay to not like someone. It is also okay to have someone not like you. People are going to not like you for no reason. That is okay. It's a them issue and not a you issue. Don't be into everyone and give them reason to dislike you, but also know that you are under no obligation to put up with someone else. Bad friendship. There is no shame in seeing a mental health professional. Story 5. When I was 22, an older gentleman asked me how old I was and then told me, Chad 303, when you are twice that age, you'll be twice the man you are today. I almost considered it a slight in that moment, but time has proven him wise. Here I am, twice that age, and, in my humble estimation, twice the man than I was then. I believe this chiefly because I have learned that kindness is not a weakness. Humility serves you better than pride, and cruelty is a fool's game. Story 6. Don't put yourself in ridiculous amounts of debt trying to portray a certain image. You'll spend your entire life trying to get out of the hole you dug, or you'll have to declare bankruptcy. Set aside enough money to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies just like now. Moreover, save now for your retirement years. It doesn't require much, and if you have it taken directly from your paycheck, you won't be inclined to not pay yourself first. Take care of your body. Exercise to maintain a healthy weight and good cardiovascular health. As you get older, it's much harder to maintain these. Enjoy the days of your youth without going overboard. There is nothing wrong with having a good time. Yet if you are always waking up wondering what happened last night, why you can't remember how you spent so much money, or you always have a hangover, you should tone it down a bit. Don't take advice or criticism as a personal attack. Most times the people who care about you have observed behavior in you which is off-putting, doesn't reflect who you really are or could be, or would make you a more rounded person. Story 7. Don't fall for the trap that your life needs to be one long narrative that you should be building. Life is best when it's a bunch of happy moments that just happen to be connected. Don't try to make your life into a novel. Make it a book of poems. Story 8. It's never too late to start again. All in my 20s, I thought I couldn't just restart my career or dump a useless boyfriend or go back to school because I was already on a certain trajectory. Made my choices now, I gotta make the best of it. That's total bullshit. You have no idea how incredibly young you are and how much time you have to do whatever you want to do. When I figured this out, I found the man of my dreams, had a kid in my late 30s, dropped my entire career in my late 40s and starting a new one at 50, and it's awesome. Edit. Oh my. I had no idea my post would be so inspirational, or that so many people needed to read it. Thank you everyone for the kind words and updates and awards. I'm so excited for everyone taking a leap into the great unknown. You got this. And if you are sad or upset or frustrated with life, that's okay too. You have time and it will pass. You have no idea what comes next and you have so much time to explore. I am still figuring things out. Story 9. Go have an adventure of a lifetime. Don't put it off. Make plans for your money. Stay out of debt. You don't need that new car, watch, handbag, etc. Material items are not worth your sanity. Have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Don't waste time on anyone who disrespects you. Have a backbone but don't be rude. Not everything needs your reaction. Find someone who you can spend endless time with. Talk about ideas, not people. Above all, fuck what anyone thinks. You'll be 41 this year. Story 10. I'm 46, and here's what I know. One, money is important, but it's not the end all be all. It will not listen to your problems or hug you when you need it. Watch your weight, your blood pressure, and do not smoke. 75 of my patients that have the most serious diagnoses have at least one of these factors. 3, comparison will rob you of joy. Be happy for others, but don't feel you need to be like them. 4, let go of the little things. Stress will kill you. 5, chase your dreams. Life goes by so fast. You don't want to be 80 years old and regretting not traveling, pursuing your passion, etc. 6, you cannot change someone, whether a friend or a partner. Their faults will not get better and you cannot rescue them. Don't waste your life on toxic people. 7, make a point of performing kind acts for others. It will greatly enrich your life. Now, go get your life. Edit. Thanks for the award, stranger. It's my first. Story 11. Chris Rock said it best. Now, people tell you life is short. No, it's not. Life is long, especially if you make the wrong decisions. Edit. The point is, you've got time. Don't kill yourself trying to do it all now. Story 12. This whole thread is wholesome F. I'm 32, but I wish I would have spent more of my 20s listening to advice of slightly older people rather than trying to prove that I could figure it out on my own. Imagine how much energy I could have saved. Story 13. Figure out what is important to you in life. A shocking amount of people never do this. The sooner you do, the better off you will be. It is important to me to be able to take care of myself and have enough left over to support those I love. If I'm doing that, it is hard to get down, or be worried, or care what other people think of me, etc. I'm still going to pursue my career and other interests. I just don't have anything emotionally riding on their successes, at least not in relation to my own sense of self-worth. I'm not doing a fun job or an inspiring job. I'm doing on that pays the most for the least work. For me, that's okay, because with the excess time, I can spend it with people I love. With the excess money, I can help pay for my friends who didn't get to go to college to do it now. I can take time off at a drop of a hat to fly across country and help in a family emergency, etc. There is the phrase live, so God can use you. I'm not religious, but I do value the idea of setting your life up so when an opportunity to do something that you care about, that matters, arises, you're in a position to do it. Figure out what you want for yourself and what you want for others. It will make planning and achieving it easier. Edit. As a lot of people are asking me what I do, I work in tech, probably unsurprisingly. I basically decided to get a degree in math instead of English because one had much better job prospects. Though I do like analytics and solution architecture and all that jazz, I definitely use that time to read the Iliad for the 4th time if it paid the same. Also, to be clear, I am not advocating for this path, just that it is important to understand the path you want and make sure you're on it. It is just as important to not work a job you hate, to make time for your passions, etc. I've worked nearly 30 jobs in my life with kids, construction, lumber yards, tour guide, nursing homes, you name it. I'm good at compartmentalizing and just really don't mind what I work on. So getting the most return on my work is a clear metric to focus on. If I got a lot of my sanity and sense of satisfaction from my job, I'd 100 work with kids or in education instead. Story 14. The biggest regret my dad has was not starting some sort of savings for retirement when he was in his 20s. He didn't start putting money into his 401k until he was 30 or so. If you don't have access to a 401k, look into getting an IRA or something you can just chip something into every week or month. Story 1570. Born living in Australia. Very middle class all my life, but never a landowner, always renting. Generally very happy, satisfied. No need to be materialistic if you live in a fair, civilized nation. No need to marry, nor have children. No need to prove yourself to anyone. Just accumulate many skills, talents which will not go out of fashion. In my case, science studies, incomplete BSc, counseling, group work, many kinds. Business admin skills, technology, including many academic computer areas. Happily married, boringly normal for the last 25 years. Internet, technology, politics, etc. are so interesting, thrilling. Story 16. Maintain your friendships. In 20 years, you will be so grateful for those people who saw you through marriages, children, illness, and health. People who will go for a trip with you, love your kids, remember you as a young person. Friends are essential, but they require work. Don't be alone just because you don't want to be the person who reaches out to others. Story 17. Experiences over materials items. You're not going to remember that pair of shoes or that expensive item, or if you do, the memory won't compare to that awesome adventure you went on, or that great night out. Story 18. Honestly, if you want more career satisfaction, be as positive as possible at work. I mean it. I am cynical by nature and thought everyone around me loved my sarcastic one-off comments. Every meeting I would demonstrate biting wit at the ridiculous corporate bullshit being peddled. If there was failure, I was there to point at it and laugh, and if success, I was always there ready to keep it real for folks. Apparently, my attitude and sense of humor were not as appreciated as I thought. Then, disaster struck at work a few years ago, and my skills were needed more than ever. Now, mind you, I had been passed over a couple of times for promotions. I was salty about that because, and I am being honest here, I was a really, really good candidate and am regarded quite well in my industry. I was stunned at missing out, and my dissatisfaction was not kept out of sight. Well, back to the disaster. For some reason, I took this opportunity to shut up and be a positive team member. This particular problem, not virus-related, would have allowed me to sit at home, get paid, and do nothing while everything got sorted. A paid 2-week vacation without dipping into PT on us. Let the suits sort it out while I laugh at their awkward attempts to right the ship, snickering with coworkers via personal emails. I was really looking forward to pointing out inconsistencies and ambiguous language in their directives. I was practically giddy with excitement with the prospect of watching them fall on their faces. Instead, I put on my big boy pants, went to work, walked in the boss's office, and politely asked if there was anything she needed. For 2 weeks, I worked my off, did everything I was asked, kept my pie hole shut. God, were there opportunities for serious humor. I took a lot of initiative, and throughout I was positive and pleasant. At meetings, I would offer constructive comments, take notes, and follow up on items even if I wasn't asked. I had become the dreaded try-hard. Then the calls came from everywhere in the organization. How do we do X? Can I do Y? Mind you, in the past I would have provided a slightly sarcastic reminder of my scope of duties, which did include doing their job too. Instead, I was positive and cheerful. I was happy to help them get through the crisis. After the disaster subsided, I did not revert back to Mr. Point out how stupid everything is and kept a positive and cheerful demeanor. I kept my comments to myself and went home and shared my list of comments I could have made with family. I noticed the more positive I became, the more people seemed to want to work with me and the more responsibilities my boss heaped upon me. So I kept at it. And not 1, but 2 promotions came with significant raises. And now I am in a position that I really, really enjoy. Had I only figured this out in my 20s, I might have gotten where I am more quickly. One caveat: if your work is a fest, don't be afraid to move on with a positive farewell email and pointing out how much everyone meant to you. TLDR, be more positive at work. Story 19, go to therapy. Figure out what your insecurities are, why you have them, and how to deal with so that they don't define the rest of your life. Talk about your issues from childhood and your teens. Yay, everyone has issues even in their 20s. If you don't do it now, you will make decisions based on or driven by those issues, and that will put you on a path you may not like. Story 20. If you are lucky enough to have the love of a good woman, support her, and she will support you. 2 heads are better than 1. I don't want to do without my SO. Never take one day for granted. Get out there into the world and enjoy it. I'm 45 this year and plenty of my peers didn't make it and wasted their shot. Story 21. Fail to plan? Plan to fail. 1. Identify your goals and values. Don't confuse a step towards your goal job for the goal, peace of mind, happiness. 2. Don't fight reality. Reality is all there is. Don't waste time wishing it was different. Don't invent things that are not true. Reality is enough just as it is. 3. Make choices based on your new framework. Goals and reality. Small daily choices are super important. Story 22. Wear a condominium financially happy. So my advice in this regard is to not use your credit card unless you are 100% sure you can pay it off that month and it's not a burden. Don't go into debt. I'm also happy with my children who are polite, intelligent, and happy themselves. My advice there is to always be true to your word with them and always say please and thank you. Story 23. Don't marry someone because you think it's something you have to do. The same goes with having children. I've done neither, even though my family has always hounded me, to am incredibly happy with where I'm at. I can't think of how miserable I'd be making commitments like those just to make others happy. Put yourself first, people. Story 24. Choose your mate wisely. It should feel like you are spending every day with your best friend that you have fun with. Don't do it for money or looks. You will be miserable. Don't get too much sun. Drink too much past early 20s or smoke. That will age you quickly. Invest in good skincare. Don't fall into the debt trap. Make yourself listen to Dave Ramsey on YT and understand it's better to have $1 million by 50 than a fancy car today with the same amount of money put aside. Eat more veggies and fruit and less meat and dairy through the week. Your body will thank you. I'm 51 but feel like I never left my 20-30s and went back to school at 39 and started my second life. There is always a day to say, I'm reinventing myself. I'm about to do it again. Also, lastly, cut our BS friends and family. No time for users, abusers, or anyone who takes more than they give constantly or verbally demeans you. They will never stop, and you will never miss them. Learn to say no now. Set boundaries. If this is a problem for you and you resent always saying yes and being the nice person for jerks, read boundaries, when to say yes, and how to say no, it will be life-changing. Because stress is also a killer. That's my just woke up in bed brainstorming stream of consciousness. Must go find coffee now. Story 25. Don't fall victim to peer pressure and settle for a mate that isn't right for you. Didn't find my wife until I was almost 30, and it was totally worth waiting for the right one to come along. Story 26. Wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future, or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind. The kind that blindside you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Sing. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long and, in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive. Forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Maybe you'll marry. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance. So are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or of what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance, even if you have nowhere to do it but your living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but with a precious few you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, The more you need the people who knew you when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise. Politicians will philander. You too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund. Maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse. But you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. Edit source for the people under 40. Story 27. You are never too old or too deep into something to just start over. If you aren't happy, do something else. I've read about people taking up marathons at 50. For me, every day is potential for a new start. Don't like how I felt yesterday? Then I guess I'm doing something different today. I'm 50 now. So much left to do and so much time to do it. Story 28. Find yourself a good person to be in a relationship with. Looks will fade, but that personality will be there forever. As you age, your friends will pair off and you will find yourself hanging out with them less and less. They will have kids or move away and you will find yourself either alone or with your partner during 99 of your free time. Humans do not do well being isolated and alone. Finding a healthy relationship is so important and no one really talks about it or just tells you to focus on your career. Having someone in your corner that always has your back will make life that much easier. Find someone with the same goals in life that you do and hold on to them. Hard. Marry a brain, not a booty. Story 29. After high school graduation, get some sort of job, education, or training. Even the crappiest entry-level job is better than no job or being on assistance. Plus, when you're working or going to school, you're not spending money or getting into trouble. You don't have to go to college right out of high school, especially if you have no idea what you want to study. Actually go to work school, no matter how early you have to get up, how much it sucks, or how much of a your boss is. Work leads to opportunities for better jobs. Most every job I've had has been the result of knowing someone I met on a previous job who put in a good word for me. Don't have kids before you get married. Don't put yourself in situations where you might end up with kids before you get married. Don't get married until you're at least 21. Marry someone who shares your values, and not just someone who is really hot and fun. Looks fade, but character stays pretty much the same. If you have a passion for something in college and it has good employment prospects, then go to college, but do not get a student loan, no matter how tempting. Work, apply for grants, scholarships, whatever, but do not get into debt. If that means holding off on college a few years so you can save up, so be it. You don't have to go to a traditional 4-year university. Go into a trade or the military. College is still always an option later. Live below your means and be sure to pay yourself first. Put some amount of money away every month, pay period into an account you can't get to easily, then live off the rest. That may make for a pretty meager existence for a while, but you will be surprised at what you can get used to, especially if you remind yourself this is temporary and greater things are to come. Down the road, when you have some money saved up, invest it wisely. Don't expect to get rich quick. It's a slow build, but the wait is worth it. Talk to an advisor or an actual wealthy person for advice, not your buddy who found a sure thing. Don't buy stuff just to fulfill yourself or to impress those around you. After a while, too much stuff begins to own you, instead of the other way around. If you have the money to spare, buy experiences, vacations, trips, whatever. They don't take up in space, and the memories stay with you forever. The only debt you should ever take on is a reasonable fixed-rate mortgage, preferably a 15-year, but a 30-year that you refinance later is okay too. Don't even go into debt for a car. Save your money and buy a decent used model. Learn to cook and maintain your house and your own vehicles. Be patient. It takes time and effort to build a comfortable life, but it's worth it. Story 30. Don't buy new cars. Don't buy that house with an extra room. Don't buy anything until you have an emergency fund saved up. None of those things feel as good as not worrying about money feels. 3-bedroom house isn't necessary. An emergency fund is necessary. If you can't afford the house and the emergency fund, that doesn't mean you can't afford the emergency fund. It means you can't afford the house. Emergency fund is non-negotiable. Story 31. Make decisions for yourself. Don't ignore the long-term ambitions for short-term fun, but definitely don't live the life that someone else wants you to live. Every dollar you save and invest in your 20s is worth a lot more than the ones in your 30s, 40s, and so on. If you are going to spend money, Spend it creating experiences with yourself and other people. It's almost been kind of a cliche thing for the latest generation that you should only spend on experiences. But I don't give a about the sound system or computer I had 15 years ago. I do care about the friends that were made. Story 32. I'm not yet 40, but I have some ideas. Go on that adventure you want to do. Don't do anything that will put you in jail. Don't do anything that will lead to a baby until you've given yourself time to be an adult for a while. Don't stick your in crazy don't. Let crazy stick it in you, if you must. Double up on that birth control and make sure you control one of those methods yourself. Don't spend on credit what you don't have close to that amount saved in the bank to pay it off. Keep your daily expenses low to save for that adventure. Network and don't burn bridges. Stay neutral to toxic people, but keep them at a distance. Allow your actions to define you, not your words. Do everything you say you will in a timely fashion and do it well, and you'll be viewed as reliable and it'll secure your friendships and career. If you're suffering from mental illness, don't blast it on social media. Go get help. Don't sign the lease with your partner unless you've been with them for a year. Story 33. You don't have to have kids and buy a minivan and live that life. It's totally fine if you don't. You might even be happier and a lot wealthier in the end. You're not weird or broken because you want to live a less normal life. A lot of us do it, you just don't see us marketed to on TV. Story 34. Do some exercise. Stay out of debt. Learn people's names. It's a good habit and you never know where it might lead. I got lost in a third world country but remembered the son of the guy who owned the hostel was called Pan, picked up by someone who called someone who knew him. Without having chatted to him and learned his name, I'd still have made it back but it would have been way more difficult. Travel, and be okay with having the confidence to just live out of your backpack and see where things take you. It really prepares you for later life. Over 2 years I was lost in the jungle, swum between tropical islands, run over hot coals, slept in weird places, worked some crazy jobs, and hitchhiked around Asia with a buddy, and it makes you very resilient and good at seeing solutions in difficult times once you're older. Story 35. Calm the down. Seriously, I panicked my way through my 20s. When goes wrong, stay calm and think logically. Act like the person you want to be. Story 36. A lot of people get their future planning priorities wrong in their 20s. Generally, I've found people in their 20s prioritize job, relationship, place to live lifestyle. Really, the people I've found are happiest in their life have done their planning in the opposite direction. Place to live lifestyle, relationship, job. This might seem a bit weird, but hear me out. A job isn't any good if you have to live in a place or a lifestyle you hate or not be able to have the relationship you want just to have it. No amount of money will make up for being miserable. Likewise, a relationship might be great, but if you are living a lifestyle that makes you unhappy, then it will put strain on the relationship and will ultimately make you unhappy. Figure out what kind of life you want and make that the basis of your other planning for the future. Whether that's a fast-paced downtown city lifestyle, or a slow country lifestyle, or a comfortable suburban lifestyle, living the way you want will give you a strong foundation for happiness. Story 37. If you aren't sure you want kids, make sure you are sure before you have them. I dodged a couple of bullets over the years and don't have any kids. I see and hear all the other people have to go through, and I don't think I could handle that level of stress in my life. I'm very glad to be childless. Of course, some people love kids and should have lots of them. That's just not me, and it might not be you too. Story 38. Strive for a small and simple life. The larger and more complicated you allow it to become, the harder it is to reach contentment. Contentment is the goal, not happiness. Story 39. Try to surround yourself with positive people that motivate you to grow as a person. For me at least, there is no grown-up endgame. I am a 48-year-old father of 6 and grandfather of 3, and I am continually learning how to become a better, more mature person. Story 40. Stack that paper. I'm in my 40s, and if I had been smarter with money, even putting it in an index fund, I could have retired by now. I don't regret buying the Porsche, but I didn't need to spend $20+ a day eating out, and the same amount or more on drugs. Just on a Monday. For 2 decades, I didn't need the $2,000-month apartment in a trendy neighborhood where I lived in my 30s. I'm still happy because the rest of my life is great, but financial freedom while I'm still relatively healthy would be heaven. Story 41. Partying drinking has a time and place, and it is not every day. Why go off on a great adventure in an amazing place if you are just going to spend all your time getting drunk? You won't remember as much as you could. Pictures are great, but memories are better. Save, save, save. It doesn't matter so much what you do for a living if you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. I think what is going on now is proving this more than ever. Story 42. Inspect all you have been told. Discard that which offends your soul. W. Whitman. Be honest. Love deeply. Know thyself. Welcome each moment with gratitude. Story 43. I'm only 32, but I would say stop caring what others think of you. Do what makes you happy and just be you. Once I learned this, I had a lot less issues in my life. Story 44. I'll give a bit of relationship advice. I had the most success with dating when I didn't force it. I was in a good place in my life and went on dates and met people because it was fun, not because I was looking for a relationship. The times I felt lonely and intentionally seeking a relationship were the least successful times. I'm sure I came across as lonely and needy, which isn't a good combination. Be yourself, make peace with who you are, and focus on being your best self. You'll have much more luck finding someone who wants you to be that best self. Oh, and avoid narcissists, controlling personalities. Set boundaries for yourself. Your mental health is worth it. Trust me. Story 45-1. Make more than enough to pay your bills and live how you want to. That just follow your bliss. I know too many actors and artists who are miserable and overstressed because they are broke. Instead, go into a field that pays better and have hobbies that are blissful. 2. See the world and meet people from all over. Don't wait. You don't know what will happen to the place or yourself. Meeting people from elsewhere teaches that there really are many ways to skin a cat, and differences are fun. 3. Have friends and acquaintances of different ages. There is wisdom on both sides. Besides, at 54, you might enjoy babysitting your neighbor's kids. 4. And I didn't do this one. Don't get fat. It is very hard to lose it. The secret to happiness in life is low expectations. Having unmet expectations makes people unhappy. Keeping your expectations low ensures that they are met more often. Don't confuse this with being cynical all the time. Be optimistic and work in good faith. Just keep your mind in check with how any given event will turn out.